Yeah, that'll be great. How long are you guys going? Okay, great. All right, folks, here's my update. Our technical difficulty is, for those of you who have friends, or you'll see them in the community tuning in at home, we have video for our board meeting. Oh my goodness, look at that. We're thumbs up, we're go. All I had to do was start the meeting and it worked. All right. Good suggestion, Mike. Good suggestion. All right. So we had a technical difficulty. Our sound wasn't coming through on our YouTube channel for the viewers at home. We currently have sound. We hope it stays that way. And we really appreciate the diligent efforts and all of your patience in waiting until we had that up and running. So we are now ready to start our meeting. If I could please ask you to all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And again, we appreciate your patience with we wanted to make sure we had sound for our viewers at home. That was our call to order. I've explained that we are all on microphones. We have 8 board members in attendance this evening, 7 of us in person. Candy Cruz is unavailable, and we have Dr. Chris Wayock calling in on a cell phone. Chris, we'll just do a sound check. You can hear us and we can hear you?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You'll be mic'd whenever you unmute yourself. Just feel free to speak throughout the evening. Okay, Chris? All right, moving on. We have visitor comments. I believe we have someone yes, I have Julie Bird signed in to speak. And let's see if that microphone works. And if not, I'm just gonna walk down and give you my pack because I know it works. I'll meet you down there just in case. Flick it towards you, like pull the button towards you. Get a theater student behind you to help. Here, try this.
Thanks.
Just speak, you have to get it this close.
Testing? Hey, that's me. Cool. Okay, I'll eat it. All right. Good evening. My name is Julie Bird, and I'm a parent in the district of a school of school-age children. I've spoken at nearly every board meeting over the last several months for the causes of full-day kindergarten, school counselor to student ratios, and briefly even in support of the high school theater department, despite not having a child currently involved. When deciding whether to speak this evening, every topic I weighed for my 3 minutes came back to the kids. So here I am, standing in front of the board and the administration, remembering discussions from the last meeting and the 10 p.m. adjournment, humbly asking that everyone here remembers that at the end of the day, the bottom line is that what we do is what's right by our children. From the agenda, Discovery Education Streaming is a tremendous resource, and as a former teacher who was once named a Discovery Star educator myself, thank you in advance for supporting its use for our 6th through 8th grade students. Thank you in advance for supporting Southern Lehigh's participation in the Title III Consortium. JuiceMind seems like a resource worthy of our high school computer science students. I'm going to pronounce them wrong, I'm sorry. Aviana and Karen Foundation agreements for our special education population should be supported. Approving funding for grade 7 technology is essential for those students. Finally, approving a budget that effectively provides for our district's professional staff and students provides a backbone on which a successful 2024-2025 school year can be built. An educated population is wildly important. Thank you for serving on our school board and making decisions that allow our children to flourish in today's often difficult world. Thank you for your time and talent this year. Thank you in advance for putting our students' diverse needs before personal egos and at the forefront of your decisions. And enjoy your summer break.
Thank you. It was a great way to start off our meeting. And you can just leave the mic there. If you click the button on top, it'll turn it off. Or you can hand it to a theater student in the audience if you are uncertain you did that. It doesn't turn off, it just shuts the sound off. I think you're good. If we have feedback, maybe we'll check that. All right, that is the only visitor comment I have this evening. Going to our agenda, just before I forget to say this, we have a long agenda this evening, but it's a lot of annual renewals of contracts. So if at any point in time to the board, I'm going to be lumping a lot of these together. If at any point in time you would like to break any of them out, please let me know. I'm happy to do that, but otherwise I'm just going to lump them together. I didn't want to forget to say that before I turn it over to the superintendent for his superintendent's report. Dr. Mahan. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. The minutes and the executive board summary. I was just jumping right along. Could I have a motion to, well, first I'll do the executive session summary from our board solicitor. I'm sorry about that, Ms.
That's
Moyer.
no problem.
Thanks
Thank you,
for the
Ms.
reminder.
Gaiman. No problem. On May 13th, the full board held an executive session. An update on possible litigation was provided. On June 4th, 2024, the Facilities Committee had an executive session to seek legal advice regarding possible litigation. On June 6th, 2024, the Tech Committee had an executive session for a personnel issue. On June 10th, 2024, the full board had an executive session regarding the school safety report for the 23-24 school year. And on June 24th, 2024, prior to the board meeting tonight, the full board held an executive session to discuss a student issue, personnel matter, and pending litigation.
Thank you very much. And could I have a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of May 13th and June 10th?
Motion. to
Thank
approve.
you, Mr. Carney.
Second.
Thank you for the second, Mr. Boyer. Any questions or comments on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the superintendent's report. Thanks for that minor. I jumped ahead. Dr. Mann.
Thank you, Mrs. Gaiman. I just have two very brief updates. First, early July is approaching, which means we are approaching our switch over to Infinite Campus. We've been having some communication. There's no real action required from our community, but early in July, we'll be sending out Infinite Campus generated emails, and we look forward to all of the benefits that this new student information system will be providing, including mobile apps for parents and students. So it is very exciting, and we're right on the verge of moving forward with that. And the second topic I wanted to raise is that in late spring, or early and late spring, it's sometimes a little sad because we're often dealing with resignations of longstanding educators whose we very much miss. But as we move into the start of the school year, we are excited because on tonight's agenda are some extremely talented individual educators who wish to come to Southern Lehigh. We're so excited to have them. So I wanted to take the occasion to express our excitement over the class of professional staff that's coming in, and also my very great gratitude to our administrators who worked very hard in devising and implementing a challenging selection process that took a great amount of time and dedication that had some very, very positive results. So that concludes my report, Mrs. Gaiman. Thank you. There is one action item in my area for the board calendar for 24-25.
Thank you very much. That's great news. And I, as a parent, got my Infinite Campus email reminder today. I appreciated that. That's great to keep people in the know. And just for those of you in the audience, that is going to replace completely our Sapphire. You might have heard our student information system is currently called Sapphire. So now Infinite Campus is coming. Thanks so much. All right, moving on to item, I lost it, but it's the board meeting calendar, item B. Could I have a motion to approve the 24-25 school board meeting calendar? Thank you, Mr. Carney. I'm sorry?
Sorry.
Is that a second, Dr. Wayok? Is that a second, Dr. Wayok?
No, well, it is, but one of the dates is Memorial Day. I believe one of the dates on there is Memorial Day. Can somebody just check that for me?
I'm having trouble hearing you, but, oh, thank you. Okay, so we have a second from Dr. Wayok, but there's one on Memorial Day. I didn't think, could you tell us which date that was, Chris?
I think that was May 23rd?
Yeah, that's been moved to the 26th because of Memorial Day.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for pointing that out. All right, so we're set with the 26th. It's not on the 25th, not on Memorial Day. We skipped it. Any other comments?
The only other one
Hit, yeah, your button. You have to get it very close.
The only other one that I noticed was, I think it was Veterans Day, November 11th, but I saw schools in session, so there's no reason to move it.
Yeah, school's in session. We have lots of veterans actually coming into elementary schools that day, so, okay, but yeah. Any other questions on that item? All right, motion and a second. See, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to curriculum, student, and staff services. I'm going to take all of item 5 together, all of the curriculum, student, and staff services. That is just the notice of the school safety and security report of June 10th. No actions needed on that item. CLIU's annual agreement for discovery education streaming, CLIU annual Title III consortium agreement. There's a materials list for disposal. There is Justice Mind for High School Computer Science 2 and AP Computer Science A. Sorry, not Justice, Juice Mind. And so that's items 5A through E. Could I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Carney. Thank you for the second, Ms. Torba. Any questions or comments on any of these items? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Special Education and Student Services, I have an Ivana annual agreement. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Thank you. And a Karen Foundation agreement. These are annually renewed agreements. Could I have a motion to approve those? Thank you, Mr. Carney. Thank you, Mr. Boyer, for the second. Any questions or comments on these? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item 7, technology. I have approval for an Apple computer lease agreement to approve 280 13-inch MacBook Air computers along with a 4-year Apple Care agreement. Could I have a motion to that effect?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Boyer. A second? Oh, I'm sorry. Second, Dr. Wayock?
Sure.
Sure? Okay. Any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Business and finance. Now here I am going to take some together, but we have the need to pull out the general fund. We're going to do it's required by the state to do a roll call on that. So I'm going to ask to take items 8A, the bills list, B, the treasurer's report, D, homestead farmstead resolution. I can take that one last, Mr. Pepe. Is it okay if I take all of these, or do I have to do them in order?
I would pull out C.
But there's no reason I have to take them separately. Like I can approve the rest and then approve the budget, right? Thank you.
I would pull out C, I'd pull out D and E.
C, D, E? Okay. So
No, not E, I'm sorry. C and D.
pull C and D. Thank you, Mr. Pepe. All right, so items 8A, bills list, B, treasurer's report, E, approval of depositories and investment of district funds, F, approval of the insurance policies for the 24-25 school year, G, workman's compensation insurance, H, student accident insurance, I, the cafeteria prices, which are remaining all the same,
Correct.
J, the National School Lunch Program Agreement with the LCTI, K, the High School Art and Science Bids Agreement, L, the tax settlement with property PID number as stated there, and M, property tax refunds as listed in the attachment. So items 8A through M, excluding item C and D.
Motion to approve items in number 8 with the exclusion of C and D.
Thank you, Mr. Carney, for that motion. And a second? Thank you, Mr. Boyer, for the second. Are there any questions, comments of that extensive list excluding items C and D that I've just gone over? And Mr. Pepe, I just want to take time to thank you because this is your section of the agenda. You gave us a great synopsis and report in general in the interim between our last meeting and this about just explaining the process. And I just want to call that out and say that's really helpful to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Probably help not have so many questions here tonight. All right, seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor of approving those items? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll go back to item C, which is required by law to be called out on a roll call vote. Because I'm Mike and Ms. Libley isn't, I'll handle this one for the roll call. Does anyone object if I take items 1A, B, and C, the budget adoption resolution, the levying of the millage resolution, and the levying of the various 511 taxes resolution? Does anyone object if I take those together for the purposes of roll call? All right, seeing none, could I have a motion for items C? I can take C and D together as a roll call. I'll take them all together as a roll call so we don't have to vote once. Could I have a motion for C and D, Stephen?
Yes.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Boyer, thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'm just going to simplify it by going around the horn and starting with Ms. Reinartz.
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Wayock?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mond?
Aye.
Yes. Mr. Carney, thank you. I'm an aye. I'm a yes. Mr. Boyer? Ms. Torba? Oh, my goodness. Ms. King, best for last. I apologize. You're welcome. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to, thank you, support services, item 9. My fingers took a long time scrolling there. We have items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Okay, any objection to taking these all together? Letter of engagement with Fitzpatrick, Lentz, and Buba, Provident Energy Natural Gas Supply Bid, addendum to contracted pupil services for transportation with Norman's Bus, annual primary student transportation authorization, annual renewal agreement with CM3 Building Solutions, annual renewal agreement with Kistler O'Brien Fire Protection, Liberty Bell Food Service Equipment, middle school food service equipment, high school food service equipment, and an RFP for the high school library renovation with options to repurpose the board meeting room and alternate options to address our high school auditorium. Any objection to taking all those together? And if not, could I have a motion?
Motion to approve items under support services number 9.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carney, for the motion. And a second? Thank you, Mr. Boyer, for the second. Any questions or comments on items A through J? Hearing none. Just thanks for all the work that went into this. There's a whole lot of end of year, especially through the business office and our individual buildings and planning and our new insurance carrier. I just want to say thanks to all for this and to the facilities committee for looking at that high school library renovation project and the options to address the auditorium. Just a general thanks for all that hard work. All those items. All right. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to our human resources report. Motion to approve the following personnel items under human resources. And if no one objects, could I also have a motion to approve the policy second readings for those policies as listed? What? Oh, I was just going to get the motion in a second, and then I was going to go to you because I'm sure we have. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carney, for the. Thank you, Mr. Carney. And then second? I know you're all reading that human resources report, but I didn't hear a second. Could somebody give me a second? Thank you, Ms. Torba. Now, I do want to turn it over because I know our human resources report is enormous, and I'm sure it contains retirements or highlights from Dr. Akelittle.
Hello. Yeah, there we go. Yes, I wanted to second something that Dr. Mann said, which is that we really, the administration did a really great job bringing on a lot of our new hires, especially so quickly because there's as you know, we have a shortage, but also a lot more of teachers when we're getting them from other districts are being held for 60 days or more. So it's really great that we are getting them now because 60 days from now, the school year starts. So unfortunately, for other districts who then have to hold them, they may not be able to get replacements in time. But I'm really glad that our administration was very good about making it happen in time for this report. So Mr. Stolgis is the other person that I just wanted to point out. He'll be serving as our interim. Mr. Suma his resignation is listed at the end of this report, and his official last day with us will be July 5th before he goes on to other ventures. We also have 2 retirements. Sean McMullen, who's a secretary at Liberty Bell. That's 25 years of service. So of course, she'll be a missed fixture of that building. And Judith Miller is our LPN who's at the middle school, and she's 24 years of service. So another fixture of that community, school community that will be missed. Otherwise, I'm looking at, we have the resignation as well of some classified staff as well as some certificated staff that will be moving on to other adventures as well. And otherwise, we have a large list of people for fall athletics. Mr. Spangler, our athletics director, is always ahead of the game, and he is very good at making sure that it's hard to imagine, and I'm not going to jinx it, but August is not that far away. And I know that's something people don't want to hear. But so it's really great that we are able to get subject area leaders and things ready to go for next school year.
Thank you. Yes, great. And I also scrolling through that 10-page HR report, thanks to the human resources this time of year is a busy time for you folks. I also see that the 24 and 25 years of service, they will be missed. They are fixtures, Sean McMullen and Judith Miller. But I do also see them being approved in a substitute capacity, so perhaps we will still see their faces in the hallways, which is always good news as well. So thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on either the HR report or the policies for the second reading before we vote?
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Reinhardt.
Under the graduate study, there's no amount listed that's to be approved. It just says graduate study. Whereas we list the amounts for conferences and additional education, but for graduate study, there's no figure.
Are you in item 14, that chart, or are you in the HR report? I'm lost. I just wanted to know where can I find this? What page of the human resources?
Policy, human resources A1.
Thank you. I'm just trying to find it on the report.
I'm sorry, it's under for information only, but it seems related to human resources.
Oh, okay, so you were just, okay, so you're under item 14 graduate
It's a
study?
clarification question on procedure, that's all. So you have graduate study listed under 14 for information only, but graduate study seems relevant to human resources.
Sure, we're just jumping ahead, that's fine.
And since there was no amount listed to be approved for the graduate study, I was just curious as to how we handle that, so the public understands.
Okay, I think I got it.
There you
we go. So this is a template that we've been using, but we can absolutely add in that number if the board would like that. What we end up doing is we use the Kutztown University rate actually, and it's in the collective bargaining agreement. So whatever Kutztown University sets is the rate that we reimburse. And so of course next year, I actually should, I think beginning July 1st, new rates will go into effect. But we can certainly start putting that value on. It's the Kutztown University rate. So
Thank you. I
No problem.
appreciate your information.
While we're in that section, any other questions under item 14, because they are HR related?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
Looking at the new hires, I see that now we are now offering steps for new hires. I know that that was something that I've heard in numerous presentations that we were not doing unless the steps or the position was something that was specialized. So my concern is, are these all specialized roles? Or are we now struggling to find folks to come into Southern Lehigh? So now we're changing our strategy on allowing steps now. Oh, it's backwards. How about the other ones then?
We're offering,
Specialized?
you're offering, so you're talking about our STEP program, the conversation's happening up here, many school districts have our STEP 14 on our CBA, and I should probably be letting HR explain this, but in layman's terms, our STEP 14 on our CBA agreement is actually the lowest rung on the ladder, as it were, and Step 1 in Southern Lehigh is the highest. Many other school districts have Step 1 being the lowest rung on the salary scale and Step 14 being the highest. So for those of you who are looking at this, and that was but you were still, Mr. Boyd, you're still correct. There's still a couple coming in at Step 7, which is the middle of the road now, how you look at it. So your question still stands if you'd like. I was just clarifying.
I was just curious if they're, because of a specialized position. I know that was said that if they were specialized or if they were
Right.
hard to fill.
Right.
I just wanted to know if that was the case.
Yes. And we could. Well, this is working just a minute. Let me see. Test. Okay. And so we have been consistent in our approach this year. Beyond that, I think since there are specific names attached to each of these positions, I'm very happy maybe to address in greater detail in executive session. Mrs. Gaiman is completely correct in that Step 14 is in many places considered Step 1.
And we still have some coming in not at Step 14 or at Step 1, so just to clear that up. All right, I have had a motion for items 10A and B, and then we skipped to some discussion on item 14, which requires no vote, so we're not voting on those. But any other questions under item 10A and B? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. There was an aye from Dr. Wayock, was that correct?
Yes.
Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and that was an aye? You're voting yes on items 10A and B? Chris, could you please repeat your vote for items 10A and B?
I said yes.
Wonderful, thank you. I able to hear you that time. Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. All right, we are on to committee reports. Anyone have a committee report for this evening? I have the CLIU to report, but anyone would like to go first while I dig out my notes? Any reports?
LCTI's meeting Wednesday.
Perfect. All right. Well, then, pardon me while I dip down here for my CLIU notes. CLIU met the third Monday of June, and in addition to its safety report, which was wonderful as well, I just wanted to make 4 comments. The first is that there will be a list coming out. CLIU will be providing its board members businesses that collaborate with their project search to provide employment and internships for those students in need of different and specialized placements. And we discussed that not only do board members of the IU like to support those businesses who support and employ our kids, but we thought our districts would like to know that as well. So when that list is forthcoming, I will distribute it to anyone who is interested, perhaps just through a board email. But I think it's great to support local businesses who support kids who work through the IU. The CBA, the IU also approved its collective bargaining agreement with its staff at our meeting. So that was a great success there. We were very happy all parties came to a great resolution. The comprehensive plan was wrapped up and finally approved. And I just wanted to highlight that the themes of the IU's comprehensive plan were organized around communication, celebration, and choice in learning. Choice in learning specifically is that they're going to create increased emphasis on staff being able to choose those areas in which they receive professional development. And so those were the organized around those 3 C's for the comprehensive plan: communication, celebration, and choice in learning. And the last point I'd just like to touch upon is there was a transportation overview and report for the school year. And it was interesting to see that the IU transported over 1,000 students through the school year. 2.4 million miles were driven, and they covered a service area of 700 square miles. So just bearing in mind all of those buses and transportation folks, not only for the IU, but also in our school district, it was just to reflect on 2.4 million miles driven and 1,000 students served in the IU alone. Sometimes gives us It's nice to put in perspective. That is my report for the IU. I don't believe there were any other committee reports at this time. Is that correct?
ACMC, there was, Ethan sent out a doodle, and we're meeting in July, mid-July. And Education Committee is on hiatus unless something comes up over the summer.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, similarly, we're having a policy committee doodle poll for our next, we plan to meet during the summer, but we have a different schedule with folks' summer schedules being different. We have yet to, well, maybe we did finalize it. I didn't check my email this afternoon, so I am not up to date, but that will be posted on the web with the results of that doodle poll. Any new business or other business at this time?
I have other business.
Mhm.
Founding Forward is an organization that I work for, and just a reminder, I'm taking a class this summer. It's French and Indian War, but any educator can apply for classes. I think there's still some openings. It's week long, and you get free credits. The bigger thing is suicide prevention 988 number. In January, one of my first meetings, I asked if we could look into that, and I was pleased to hear that next year the middle school and high school will have this 988 suicide prevention number on the backs. Is there a need? I believe there is. Besides people being in emotional distress, suicide was the second leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 14. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among high school age youth, ages 14 to 18. There were nearly 2 times as many suicides in the US as there were homicides, which you hear a ton about. I found at least 12 states, almost always with bipartisan support, mandating 988 statewide. LCTI has had it on the back of their IDs for years. These are trained specialists that take calls. They can send out emergency responses. Lehigh County is going to be one of those centers where calls go to. It can help parents or guardians who are seeking help. It doesn't just have to be suicide. There was an opinion piece in Thursday's morning call by the CEO of Kids Piece. It's entitled, "Some Worry About Talking About Children's Mental Health is Making It Worse. They're Wrong." It's a fantastic article because that was one of the legitimate concerns that was brought up. And if anybody would like to see the article, it's up here. And lastly, this was a little bit personal besides my own times when I was in emotional distress. There was a wonderful teacher that I taught with, Tracy, who was up on stage with me when we won Outstanding Educator Awards. And about a year later, she wasn't around. And so I'm hopeful that even if this helps out one student, 24/7 access is a resource for our students and for our parents, teachers. I'm thankful that this is happening. So thank you, anybody that was involved with it.
Thanks, Mr. Carney. All right, any other new business, other business? Seeing none, we already discussed the information only items 14A and B. Anything else on those? Any questions? We have, let me check the visitor comment form. We do not have any other visitor comments for this evening. And so we do have need of an executive session after this. We'll take a bio break for 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, and meet in executive session. But at this point, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Perfect. We are in adjournment. And y'all, thank you for coming. Thanks. Have a great summer. We appreciate you being here.